This isn't a conversation about whether or not Darnold's like good or bad. We know that he's been good this year, but I think that Aaron's right. And I think that that's a little bit of why, while no one is like saying it, people are surprised at like a Stephen A. Smith picking the Seahawks at number 1. Ultimately, whether you admit it or not, people still doubt Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and there's reason to doubt him. You're still waiting. You lost to the Niners. You lost to the Bucks. You look at the teams that they've beaten. Nothing really special, but they're whooping you know what. So I can understand that. And, people have been calling me a hater, man, when we do our little clips or whatnot, because I'm not sitting here saying Seahawks are the best team in the NFC. They're the best team in the world. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying 2 or 3. I'll give them 2 or 3. I still think Philly is the best team in the NFC, even though they squeaked by Green Bay, but they keep winning ball games.
They do have a tougher strength of schedule.
They're the defending champs. Like, until you knock them off, if they have 3 losses, 4 losses, then maybe. And then I look at the Rams, and I think there's an argument to either it could be the Rams or the Seahawks at this point. Look, the Hawks were a solid 3 last week for me when it came to power rankings. And after that performance, the beatdown, them doing things we haven't seen before with the double scoop and score, with JSN continuing to have his season, with Darnold having an efficient game, only throwing the ball 12 times. They rushed for 198 collectively. I'm like, all right. I can see them as a 2 now, but I'm still going with NFC. With Philly. I think that people just aren't used to this. It's been a long time since you looked at a Seahawks team and thought they are balanced. Their offense is on point. Their defense is on point. You mentioned special teams. It's hard for people to fathom it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. And what are power rankings? Opinions. Right? It's based off of, all right, this is what I see on the film. This is the stats that I'm looking up. Here's my opinion of this team. I can see anybody ranking them at 1, 2, or 3. Anything outside of that, then I think you're kind of hating low key.
Yes, I absolutely agree. If you have the Seahawks, like I have them at 9. No, you're just why? What point are you trying to make? No, I think that you can't be fundamentally wrong with power rankings if you have them at 2 or 3. And you're right. It's entirely opinion. I also think you can't be wrong if you have them first. And I think that I understand the pushback on Darnold, or rather I understand the question about Darnold. And someone texted in and said, well, it wasn't the pressure of the game, meaning like the moment, the spotlight pressure. It was the pressure allowed by his crap offensive line. Mm-hmm. Now, listen, you can think that I know nothing about football, but Troy Aikman knows about football. And I went back and watched all the post-game coverage this morning, and Troy Aikman on January 13th said, I think Sam Darnold just might have cost himself a few $1 million in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
he did.
Sam Darnold was sacked 9 times. All 9 of those were not on him. But Sam Darnold himself, after the game, lamented some of the decisions he made, said he left throws out there, and said he made way too many mistakes. You can't tell Sam Darnold he's wrong about Sam Darnold. It was a bad game for Sam Darnold, and unfortunately for Sam Darnold, it was his last game. And unfortunately for Sam Darnold, his last game was his first game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So you've had all of one appearance in the playoffs where you were sacked 9 times, had 2 turnovers, were both returned for a touchdown. I know you had a scoop and score.
Oh, no.
But you didn't play well at all. And fair or not, that's a question that's going to linger. In fact, I asked Aaron, hey, is this something that changes? He's going to face the Rams again. Maybe that narrative kind of gets fixed. Will it go away then?
I think it won't matter until he wins in the postseason. I think that because he was good, he was really good last year, and he was really good even against good opponents. And then the postseason came, and he laid a huge egg against the Rams. And I just feel like people are going to see that game in the back of their minds until he proves, until Seattle goes to the playoffs and wins. And he shows that he can play well in the playoffs and win games in the playoffs. That may not be fair, but it is how people think. And it is a little bit what I'm a little afraid of, too.
Bump, do you think that Sam Darnold has a chance this Sunday to right that ship, to start setting a new narrative, to erase some of those doubts, and to say, yeah, I might be the elephant in the room, but guess what? You're wrong about me. Or will he have to wait to the playoffs like Aaron thinks?
He can make it better. He can throw some makeup on, throw some foundation on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He can get ready
some
for
primer,
it. Yeah, he can do some things this game to show that he can show up in the big one. This is the biggest game of the season. It's probably the biggest game in the NFL this week. I haven't looked at the schedule yet.
Outside of Sunday night, yeah. I think the biggest for sure.
This is his opportunity, and I think he realizes that. But all he needs to do is just be the guy he's been. I don't think there's going to be a situation where the offensive line plays so horribly that he's sacked 10 times. I don't think there's going to be a situation where the defense doesn't show up and the Rams put up 35, 40 points. This is going to be a close football game, and it's the way he performs. He could lose this game and still put some foundation on that thing and try to change the narrative of who he is. Yes, this is a big opportunity for him. And I think if he were to have a bad game and people say, oh, there's a guy that we know, these guys can still go off and win 11, 12, 13 games, get into the playoffs, and then he'll have another opportunity to try to right his wrongs and change the way that people view him. But yes, this is one step closer for him to change the way people look at him.
Well, and I think when you're looking at people giving the nod offensively to the Rams, yesterday I asked Aaron about it, and he was like, well, yeah, their run game is better. I don't actually think the Rams' run game is, like, exceptional. I think that both offenses, Seattle and L.A., really lean into explosive, accurate, great pass games. Matthew Stafford's been there. I mean, he is a first overall pick, played for a decade, went to a Super Bowl and won it. There aren't questions that people have left with Matthew Stafford. He's also thrown 20 touchdowns with no interceptions so far. He doesn't have 20 on the season. He has more than that, but he's thrown a stretch of 20 consecutive touchdowns with no interceptions. No one's doubting Stafford the way they are Darnold, and that's earned, right? Like, Stafford deserves credit there. I might be with Aaron on this one and think it's probably going to take time, and it's not fair because Stafford, I don't want to say
there's
hit
no
the ground running, but there's
you can't compare the two.
No,
the career are totally different.
Stories,
Stafford's been in the game 10,
exactly.
12 years, Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champ. Nah, this is Darnold's really second year of playing some good football. So if you're trying to compare the two, there's no comparison. This year you can, but legacy-wise and reputation and resume, nah, you ain't touching that.
Yeah. Someone said, you're not even mentioning the Lions game at the end of last year. I think the Rams game is just relevant here because they're playing the Rams. It was in the playoffs, and it was the last game. It's not like none of us knew the Lions game happened. Everyone knows that the story of Sam Darnold's season is that the last two games were his worst two games, and that the second of those two games, obviously, was the playoffs, and it knocked them out. That's the story of the season. It's not like I don't know the Lions game happened. I think the thing about Sam Darnold, too, if he was a rookie, I think there'd be less doubt.
Yeah, look at Caleb. Caleb bouncing back.
Well,
JJ gets the benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
Michael Penix getting the benefit of the doubt.
Because that's all people will have seen. They'd go, well, yeah, he's got two horrible games. It was his first playoff appearance.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's got 14 great games before that. But no, with Sam Darnold, you flamed out with the Jets. And then you were with the Panthers. No one was paying attention. You spent time with the 49ers, which he credits for part of him having a resurgence. But it takes a lot to change his story. Look at Baker Mayfield. People still, you know what I mean? Like, he was a first overall pick, and there's still, despite turning his career around and being great with Tampa, there are still some doubts about him.